morning, dear friends. In today's module, we would be looking at the linguistic cues behind digital deception. In the era of online communication and the digital age, understanding the linguistic styles of liars holds paramount importance. This module will explore the significance of linguistic styles in detecting deception and the need for advanced tools to analyze linguistic patterns. As discussed in previous modules, linguistic style refers to the way individuals utilize language, including vocabulary, grammar, sentence structures, and patterns of speech or patterns of writing. It plays a vital role in communication by influencing how messages are perceived and understood. For example, a person's linguistic style can impact their ability to negotiate or resolve conflicts effectively in an offline as well as in an online manner. Linguistic style can best be defined as a distinctive way we use language to express ourselves. It influences how messages are perceived, understood, and also later on interpreted. Even the online communication has the fatigue aspects related with it without any doubt. It encompasses vocabulary, grammar, sentence structure, and patterns of speech or writing, and understanding it is crucial for effective communication as it not only helps us in conveying our emotions, but it also helps in establish friendly relationships with others, in creating a better working environment and adapting to different contexts. Linguistic style exhibits fascinating variations across different modes of communication. Written languages tends to be more formal, while spoken languages are often more informal and interactive, incorporating phatic expressions. The digital age has introduced new forms of communication, such as texting and social media, each with its unique linguistic style. Recognizing linguistic variations within the context of digital communication enhances our understanding of communication dynamics in diverse contexts. Linguistic styles play a significant role in communication, shaping how individuals express themselves. And when it comes to deception, understanding the linguistic style of liars becomes crucial. Online linguistic styles of liars include manipulation, ambiguity, and avoidance of direct answers. And these cues can help us in identifying deception in digital interactions and improve detection systems as far as the deception is concerned. Automated linguistic techniques, in which computer programs are used to analyze the linguistic properties of texts, have been used to examine the linguistic profiles of deceptive language. Deceptive individuals employ specific linguistic cues to manipulate, evade, or create false narratives, making the study of linguistic styles essential for effective deception detection in various media contexts. The advent of online communication has brought newer challenges to traditional methods of deception detection. The two key challenges include anonymity and the absence of non-verbal cues as direct methods of feedback. Online communication allows individuals to remain anonymous or to create false identities, which makes it difficult for us to verify the credibility of the information which is being shared with us. Deceptive individuals exploit this anonymity to engage in deceptive practices without the fear of any immediate consequence. Anonymity, therefore, provides a shield for these liars, making it challenging to trace their true intentions or hold them accountable for their deceptive actions. The ability for individuals to remain unidentified or create false identities makes it difficult to discern the truthfulness or credibility of shared information. Another aspect which makes the detection of deception in online communication is the absence of conventional non-verbal cues. Several non-verbal cues, such as facial expressions, body language as direct means of feedback, tone of voice, etc., are crucial in detecting deception in face to face interactions. In online communication, these cues are either absent or limited, making it harder to assess the truthfulness of a person's statement. The absence of nonverbal cues is also replaced by using certain other methods, which we shall be discussing in some other modules. However, without easy to access visual or auditory cues, deception detection heavily relies on linguistic analysis and other contextual factors which may be less reliable. These challenges emphasize the need for alternative methods and tools to detect deception in online contexts. And these contexts also highlight the role of linguistics in the deception detection. On the one hand, critics like Zimler and Feldman have maintained that the lack of nonverbal cues is a difficulty in online communication in the context of finding out about the deception. Widespread online communication has also provided a vast amount of textual and multimedia data for analysis. And this abundance of data offers opportunities to identify linguistic cues and patterns which are associated with deception. This linguistic analysis becomes a primary focus as it provides valuable insights into deceptive language patterns, inconsistencies, and manipulative tactics employed by liars. By unraveling the linguistic style of liars in online communication, we can develop more effective techniques and automated systems for detecting deception. As a result, forensic linguistics has become increasingly relevant in today's digital age, with potential applications in developing more effective techniques for detecting a deception in online communication. Forensic linguistics is a relatively new and a highly interdisciplinary field that has emerged at the intersection of linguistics and law. Its history can be traced back to the mid 20th century, but it gained recognition and prominence in the later half of the 20th century and continues to evolve and hold a better sway in these days. And continues to evolve and has a sway in the age of digital communication. Forensic linguistics involves analyzing the patterns of language, speech characteristics, and linguistic cues to detect deception in written or spoken communication, particularly in the context of crime investigation, trial, and judicial procedures. The underlying premise is that liars may exhibit distinct linguistic features compared to truthful individuals due to the cognitive load and emotional stress associated with deception. Forensic linguistics was pioneered in its modern context by Dr. Roger W. Schwei of Georgetown University, who applied linguistic analysis to uncover hidden meanings in legal cases. Understanding the common characteristics of liars in online communication and the underlying motives behind online deception enables individuals to be more vigilant and develop strategies for deception detection and its prevention. Linguistic cues frequently associated with deception encompass various aspects of language use. Let us look at examples of these linguistic cues related to deception. The first cue, which is often mentioned, is the increased verbosity. And deceptive individuals may exhibit an unusually high word count or excessive elaboration in their messages to color the truth. They may employ a verbosity to divert attention, to confuse the recipient, or to create a false sense of credibility. At the same time, they also tend to use excessively the pronouns. They tend to use more third person pronouns, that is, he, she, they, and fewer first person pronouns, that is, I, me, we. This distancing language aims to create psychological and emotional detachment from the deception which they want to pose it before the audience. They also skillfully employ non committal language and in avoidance of specific details to obscure the truth and protect themselves from being held accountable for their statements. The use of non committal language involves the use of phrases like maybe, probably, I suppose, I feel, etc. And such people avoid making definitive statements or taking a firm stance to maintain flexibility and avoid being pinned down. At the same time, we feel that liars provide general or vague descriptions while avoiding specific details or alternatively offering elaborate explanations. This lack of precision and specificity serves to obscure the truth and makes it harder to verify their claims. Finally, inadvertent inconsistencies and contradictions often serve as revealing clues to deceptive behavior. Inconsistencies and contradictions are revealed when deceptive individuals unintentionally, or for that matter, intentionally too, may provide contradictory information or narratives. Inconsistencies can manifest as conflicting statements, discrepancies in timelines, or contradictions in the facts which are being presented. There may also be an unusual response times. The response may be delayed or unusually fast, and it is an indication of deceptive behavior. Liars may take longer to respond as they sometimes try to craft a fabricated story in their mind, or they may reply quickly to deflect suspicion and avoid further scrutiny. Here is a video that further explains these characteristics with examples.
Sorry, my phone died. It's nothing. I'm fine. These allegations are completely unfounded. The company was not aware of any wrongdoing. I love you. We hear anywhere from 10 to 200 lies a day, and we spent much of our history coming up with ways to detect them. From medieval torture devices to polygraphs, blood pressure and breathing monitors, voice stress analyzers, eye trackers, infrared brain scanners, and even the 400-pound electroencephalogram. But although such tools have worked under certain circumstances, most can be fooled with enough preparation, and none are considered reliable enough to even be admissible in court. But what if the problem is not with the techniques, but the underlying assumption that lying spurs physiological changes? What if we took a more direct approach, using communication science to analyze the lies themselves? On a psychological level, we lie partly to paint a better picture of ourselves, connecting our fantasies to the person we wish we were rather than the person we are. But while our brain is busy dreaming, it's letting plenty of signals slip by. Our conscious mind only controls about 5% of our cognitive function, including communication, while the other 95% occurs beyond our awareness. And according to the literature on reality monitoring, stories based on imagined experiences are qualitatively different from those based on real experiences. This suggests that creating a false story about a personal topic takes work and results in a different pattern of language use. A technology known as linguistic text analysis has helped to identify 4 such common patterns in the subconscious language of deception. First, liars reference themselves less when making deceptive statements. They write or talk more about others, often using the third person to distance and disassociate themselves from their lie. Which sounds more false? Absolutely no party took place at this house, or I didn't host a party here. Second, liars tend to be more negative because, on a subconscious level, they feel guilty about lying. For example, a liar might say something like, "Sorry, my stupid phone battery died. I hate that thing." Third, liars typically explain events in simple terms, since our brains struggle to build a complex lie. Judgment and evaluation are complex things for our brains to compute. As a US president once famously insisted, "I did not have sexual relations with that woman." And finally, even though liars keep descriptions simple, they tend to use longer and more convoluted sentence structure, inserting unnecessary words and irrelevant but factual sounding details in order to pad the lie. Another president confronted with a scandal proclaimed, "I can say categorically that this investigation indicates that no one on the White House staff, no one in this administration presently employed was involved in this very bizarre incident." Let's apply linguistic analysis to some famous examples. Take 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong. When comparing a 2005 interview in which he had denied taking performance-enhancing drugs to a 2013 interview in which he admitted it, his use of personal pronouns increased by nearly 3/4. Note the contrast between the following two quotes. First, "Okay, a guy in a Parisian laboratory opens up your sample, Jean-Francis so-and-so, and he tests it. And then you get a phone call from a newspaper that says, 'We found you to be positive 6 times for EPO.' Second, I lost myself in all of that. I'm sure there would be other people that couldn't handle it, but I certainly couldn't handle it, and I was used to controlling everything in my life. I controlled every outcome in my life." In his denial, Armstrong described a hypothetical situation focused on someone else, removing himself from the situation entirely. In his admission, he owns his statements, delving into his personal emotions and motivations. But the use of personal pronouns is just one indicator of deception. Let's look at another example from former Senator and U.S. presidential candidate John Edwards. "I only know that the apparent father has said publicly that he is the father of the baby. I also have not been engaged in any activity of any description that requested, agreed to, or supported payments of any kind to the woman or to the apparent father of the baby." Not only is that a pretty long-winded way to say, "the baby isn't mine," but Edwards never calls the other parties by name, instead saying, "that baby, the woman, and the apparent father." Now let's see what he had to say when later admitting paternity. "I am Quinn's father. I will do everything in my power to provide her with the love and support she deserves." The statement is short and direct, calling the child by name and addressing his role in her life. So how can you apply these lie-spotting techniques to your life? First, remember that many of the lies we encounter on a daily basis are far less serious than these examples, and may even be harmless. But it's still worthwhile to be aware of telltale clues like minimal self-references, negative language, simple explanations, and convoluted phrasing. It just might help you avoid an overvalued stock, an ineffective product, or even a terrible relationship.
By paying attention to these linguistic cues in online communication, individuals can enhance their ability to identify potential deception. Analyzing linguistic cues such as evasion of direct answers and manipulation enhances our ability to identify and mitigate deceptive practices. It is also important to note that while these indicators may suggest deception, they should be considered always in conjunction with other contextual factors and evidence for a more accurate and precise assessment. Additionally, in online contexts, liars employ a range of linguistic strategies to deceive and manipulate perception. I would refer to a 2003 research by Garzuli and Jarvenpa in this context, who have divided deception into two categories. The first category talks about to prevent the victim from fully understanding the nature of the transaction core, that is, whether this is deflection, ambiguity, or red herring, a concept which would be explained later. In the second category, they incorporate attempts to actively induce a faulty representation of the core, which is known as gaslighting. Each of these categories of deception tactics are often found in the online world, and understanding these strategies is crucial in navigating the complex landscape of online communication and detecting deceptive practices. Let us take a look at these strategies with examples at this point. Liars often employ deflection to redirect attention away from their deception. One of the most often used techniques is deflection. Liars may respond to direct questions with unrelated information or by posing counter questions to divert focus. Deflection aims to create confusion and prevent further probing into their deceptive behavior. For example, when questioned about their actions, a liar may respond with a deflection like, "Why are you so concerned about me? What about what you have done last week?" Also, liars intentionally use ambiguous and vague language to create confusion and avoid providing clear and concrete information. They may use generalizations, non specific terms, or open ended statements that allow for multiple interpretations. Ambiguity serves as a shield, making it harder to pinpoint inconsistencies or falsehoods in their communication. A liar might respond to a direct question with a deliberately vague statement like, "I did some things I may not be proud of." Furthermore, liars employ distractions or red herrings to misdirect attention from their deceptive intentions. They may introduce irrelevant information, tangents, or unnecessary details to steer the conversation away from the truth. Distraction techniques aim to confuse and overwhelm the recipient, making it harder to identify the deception. For example, in a conversation about their behavior, a liar may introduce irrelevant information or engage in excessive storytelling to divert attention, such as recounting a lengthy, unrelated anecdote. Finally, liars may participate in gaslighting by intentionally undermining the recipient's perception of reality. Gaslighting suggests a distortion of facts, and liars may deny or distort facts, question the memory of the recipient, or even the sanity of the recipient, or invalidate their experiences. Gaslighting aims to instill doubt in the listener and make the recipient question their own judgment and thereby enabling the liar's deception. For example, a liar may distort reality by denying absolutely or by distorting the facts, saying things like, "I never said that. You must be remembering it wrong. I think you are overreacting. It surely did not happen that way." By recognizing these strategies, we can become more vigilant and discerning in our online interactions, fostering a safer and more informed digital environment. While existing tools and technologies provide valuable insights into deception detection, advancements in artificial intelligence offer promising solutions to further enhance accuracy and efficiency. Leveraging advanced technologies such as natural language processing and machine learning can aid in developing more accurate and reliable deception detection algorithms for online communication platforms. For example, sophisticated text analysis software utilizes NLP, that is, natural language processing techniques, to analyze linguistic patterns and identify potential deception cues. Such tools of text analysis software examine factors such as choice of words, structure of sentence, and other linguistic markers to detect inconsistencies or manipulative languages. Here we can look at an example of IBM Watson natural language understanding, which utilizes NLP techniques to analyze text, extract entities and sentiment, identify deception cues, and provide insights into the linguistic style of the author. Sentiment analysis tools help assess the emotional tone expressed in text and identify any discrepancies between the content and the underlying sentiment. By analyzing the polarity and intensity of emotions which have been conveyed, these tools can provide insights into potential deception. Here we have given the example of lexicalitic symmetria, which offers sentiment analysis capabilities to assess the emotional tone expressed in text to detect deception by analyzing inconsistencies between content and sentiment. Different color coding also suggests the ways in which the tools are able to identify certain differences. Linguistic profiling, as we have seen, involves analyzing a person's writing style, word usage, and other linguistic features to create a profile that may indicate deception tendencies. There can be morphological cues, word order, or semantic knowledge about the relations between objects within a sentence. Linguistic profiling techniques establish a baseline of a person's language use and identify deviations that may signal potential deception. Here we can look at an example of linguistic inquiry and word count or LIWC, which analyzes written text to identify linguistic markers associated with deception, such as pronoun usage, emotional tone, and cognitive processing cues. These linguistic profiling techniques establish a baseline of a person's language use and identify deviations that may signal potential deception. On the right hand side, we have given a video which illustrates the use of LIWC or linguistic inquiry and word count. It analyzes written text to identify linguistic markers associated with deception, such as pronoun usage, emotional tone, and cognitive processing cues. This video is highly useful. Social network analysis examines the connections and relationships among individuals within online networks to identify patterns of deceptive behavior. By mapping interactions and studying communication patterns, this approach can highlight suspicious activities or clusters of potential deception. As an example, we are illustrating NodeXL, which utilizes network analysis techniques to map social connections and communication patterns in online networks, identifying clusters of potential deception and suspicious activities. Thus, it is important to explore the existing tools and technologies that aid in uncovering deception in online communication. Let us now take a look at a real world case study to put this information into a perspective. In this case study, we will take a look into the Internet Research Agency controversy during the 2016 US presidential elections. This case study is based on the reportings of the American media, which claims that the IRA had launched an online disinformation campaign to impact the outcome of the 2016 US presidential election. IRA stands for Internet Research Agency of Russia, and the American media reported that it had run an influence campaign. This controversy refers to a covert operation reported by the American media, supposedly conducted by a Russian organization known as the Internet Research Agency, to interfere with political processes, to sow discord, and manipulate public opinion, primarily within the United States, but also in other countries. The campaign came to light during investigations into Russian interference into the 2016 US presidential election. According to the American media, the background of the IRA influence campaign can be traced to the Russian government's efforts to exploit social media platforms and online communities to advance its strategic interests. The Internet Research Agency, often referred to as a troll farm, employed individuals who created and disseminated misleading content, fabricated news stories, and amplified divisive narratives using fake social media accounts. The campaign involved the spread of politically charged content designed to exploit existing societal divisions, stoke political tensions, and manipulate public sentiments. The content ranged from politically biased articles and memes to fabricated news stories and provocative social media posts. Through targeted advertisements, organized rallies, and the use of hashtags, the IRA sought to polarize public discourse, influence public opinion, and undermine trust in democratic processes. The campaign also involved identity theft and impersonation of real individuals to create a false sense of credibility and authenticity. If we look at the takeaways of this case study, then we find that they primarily refer to the use of impersonal language, to incorporate emotional appeal in their posts, and inflammatory rhetoric used in their posts. IRA often employed third person narratives and avoided using first person pronouns like I or we. For example, instead of saying we believe, they would say it is believed. And this structure creates a sense of authority as well as a distance or association with the message. They also employed sensationalist headlines, hyperbolic adjectives, and emotionally charged words to elicit anger, fear, or sympathy from their audience. As all of us know, the structure of the words does not necessarily correspond to the structure of the world, and therefore the connotative aspects and the suggestivity of words may have different types of emotional appeals for different societal segments. They also use terms that demonize certain groups or promoted conspiracy theories to create controversy and to sow discord. They also use pseudoscientific jargon. The use of such jargons or technical references was used to lend credibility to their false claims. This included using complex sounding terminology or citing fabricated studies or experts. The presence of such jargon without verifiable sources is a sign of deception. At the same time, they avoided direct questions, and when questioned or challenged, IRA actors often deflected or evaded direct inquiries. They resorted to whataboutism, changing the topic, or responding with vague, unrelated statements. This evasiveness indicated that they had engaged in deception. The media claims surrounding the IRA influence campaign sparked widespread concern about the vulnerability of online platforms to foreign influence and manipulation of public opinion. The incident prompted increased scrutiny of social media companies, and it also initiated a call for regulatory measures and efforts to enhance cybersecurity and defend against disinformation campaigns. Our second case study takes a compilation of spoken excerpts from former US President Donald Trump's speeches and interviews. It delves into his unique linguistic style, examining elements such as his vocabulary, grammar, syntax, rhetorical devices, and nonverbal communication. Let us take a look at the linguistic analysis which has been provided by Jennifer Sclafani, a linguist at Georgetown University, Washington, D.C.
We don't win anymore. We don't win a trade.
Great country, great
And
people.
you're going to be very happy.
Believe me.
The incredible men and women. We're going to start winning again. Believe me.
I'm not ranting and raving. I'm not ranting and raving. I'm not ranting and raving. Go ahead.
He is interesting to me linguistically because he speaks like everybody else. And we're not used to hearing that from a president.
And these are great people. These are some great people.
We're used to hearing somebody speak who sounds much more educated, much smarter, much more refined than your everyday American. But when we hear Donald Trump speaks, he sounds like he could be a family member or a friend. And he's unique in that sense.
But don't forget, that's the way I won. Remember, I used to give you a news conference every time I made a speech, which was like every day. Okay? No, that's how I won. I won with news conference and probably speeches.
Many people comment on the simplicity of his vocabulary or the lower register of his language, as well as the simpler grammar of his sentences or syntax.
We will have so much winning if I get elected that you may get bored with winning. Believe me. I agree. You'll never get bored with winning. We never get bored.
Something else that many people have commented on is the fact that he tends to jump from topic to topic rather abruptly in his speeches.
This is my first stop, officially. We're not talking about the balls, and we're not talking about even the speeches, although they did treat me nicely on that speech yesterday. I always call them the dishonest media, but they treated me nicely. But I want to say that there is nobody that feels stronger about the intelligence community and the CIA than Donald Trump.
Some people talk about that as him sounding incoherent, but again, this is something that we all do in everyday speech. It's just unusual to hear it from a president speaking in a public formal context. One of the things that I've noticed he does a lot is he uses the expression,
Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me. Believe me.
if you look at where Donald Trump uses believe me, he'll use it to preface an important point that he wants to make.
And believe me, I and we inherited one big mess. That I can tell you.
And he also uses it at the end of an important point that he makes in a speech.
And I'm also here to tell you about our plans for the future. And they're big and they're bold, and it's what our country is all about, believe me.
So it functions as a verbal bracket surrounding points that he really wants listeners to pay attention to. And so this can be a very useful device in reining your audience in when you have a very long speech to focus on the important points you want them to take away.
I will be the greatest jobs producer that God ever created, and I mean that.
Hyperbole is definitely part of the Trump brand of president. He uses words that are both hyperbolic in the positive sense, especially now as president, like great and spectacular.
I think we have one of the great cabinets ever put together. I think we're going to do some absolutely spectacular things for the American people.
Even his hand gestures, for example, are hyperbolic. So if you look at nonverbal communication, when he's speaking, he uses a lot of two-handed gestures. So you'll see like this, you'll see this. You'll often see something like that or like that. I think what Donald Trump teaches us about linguistics is that you can use language to create a brand. You can use language to construct an identity that is distinct, that is recognizable, and that works toward creating an authentic persona that people will pay attention to.
Iscliffe-Finney's analysis highlights how Trump's communication style shows some similarities with linguistic traits associated with dishonesty or deception that we have discussed. Although it is also important to note that this does not necessarily imply that Donald Trump was not speaking the truth. So, what are the key takeaways of this case study? The first is the use of hyperbole. Trump's frequent use of hyperbolic language, such as calling things the greatest or the best ever, can be seen as an exaggeration that may raise questions about the accuracy of his claims. The second aspect of his linguistic style, which has been referred to here, is frequent repetition of phrases like believe me. It can be interpreted as an attempt to persuade or convince audience which is a tactic sometimes used by individuals who are not being entirely truthful. The third aspect, which has been mentioned in this case study, is the abrupt topic shifts. Rapid transitions from one topic to another can make it difficult for listeners to follow the logical flow of information, and it may potentially obscure the full truth or the complete context. In conclusion, deception detection in the digital age is an ongoing pursuit that necessitates a combination of human judgment, technological advancements, and critical linguistic analysis. The way individuals use language, including the choice of words, sentence structure, tone, and patterns of communication, can provide valuable insights into their truthfulness or deception. Linguistic analysis, when combined with other methods and context, can be a powerful tool for identifying deceptive behavior online. Advanced technology presents challenges as well as opportunities in the detection of deception. With AI based approaches and linguistic analysis tools enhancing our capabilities. By staying informed, leveraging the tools and techniques available, and fostering a culture of trust and authenticity, we can navigate the complexities of online communication with greater awareness and resilience. Thank you.